a war unlike any other. Two of the most unstoppable forces in the galaxy, locked in a brutal battle for survival. On one side, the Galactic Empire, armed with planet-killing superweapons, legions of stormtroopers, and the cold, calculating power of the Sith. On the other, the Borg Collective, a relentless hive mind that assimilates entire civilizations, turning enemies into mindless drones. No diplomacy, no surrender, only total domination. When these two empires collide, the universe trembles. But which reigns supreme? The Empire's military machine, built on fear and control, or the Borg's ever-expanding swarm, evolving with every battle? The answer may not be as simple as it seems. Imagine the two biggest forces from two of the most famous sci-fi universes clashing, the mighty Galactic Empire from Star Wars against the relentless Borg Collective from Star Trek. It's the kind of matchup every sci-fi lover has dreamed of. Both sides are powerful, both can destroy worlds, but what happens when they finally face each other? Let's start by getting to know the Galactic Empire. They're the bad guys from Star Wars, led by Emperor Palpatine. He's not just a regular ruler, he's a Sith Lord, which means he uses dark powers from the Force to control people and crush anyone who stands in his way. By his side is Darth Vader, who is feared across the galaxy. Wherever Darth Vader goes, stormtroopers follow, ready to attack. The Empire rules many, many planets. In fact, just the Outer Rim territories in Star Wars are larger than a quadrant where most of Star Trek is located. The Empire doesn't rule an entire galaxy with kindness. No, they use fear and coercion. They build huge weapons and massive starships to keep everyone in line. The most famous ship is the Star Destroyer. If you've seen one, you know it looks like a flying triangle, but is the size of a city. It's full of heavy guns and can destroy other ships easily. Using its hyperdrive, they patrol the galaxy with better reach than Star Trek's fastest warp drive. But it's not even their strongest weapon. The Empire built the Death Star, a huge space station the size of a moon. The scary part? The Death Star can destroy an entire planet with just one shot. Imagine that, one shot, and a whole planet is gone. That's the kind of power the Empire has. It's no wonder most of the galaxy lived in fear. Now, even though the Empire looks unstoppable, they're not perfect. Remember, the Rebel Alliance destroyed not one, but 2 Death Stars. That shows even the strongest have weak spots. Still, when it comes to firepower and technology, the Empire is a monster. They have the weapons, the ships, and the dark side of the Force on their side. Now let's switch gears and talk about the Borg from Star Trek. If you're not too familiar with them, don't worry, I'll explain. The Borg aren't like the Empire. They don't have a big emperor or generals leading armies. Instead, they're a collective. That means they all think together, like one giant mind. Their goal is simple but terrifying. They want to assimilate everything. That means they take over people, ships, and even entire civilizations, making them part of the Borg. What makes the Borg scary isn't just their goal, but how they do it. They don't send soldiers like the Empire. They send huge, cube-shaped ships called Borg cubes. These things are massive and super tough. It's almost impossible to destroy a Borg cube because it can repair itself while you're shooting at it. That's right. If you hit it, it just fixes the damage right away. The Borg don't just fight with weapons. They use nanoprobes, tiny machines that can change people and technology into Borg. Once they get to you, it's nearly impossible to escape. You don't just fight the Borg, you become part of them. That's what makes them such a scary enemy. They're like a virus, always spreading, always growing stronger. Another thing that makes the Borg hard to beat is their ability to adapt. At first, your weapons might hurt them, but the more you fight them, the faster they learn. They adjust their defenses, and suddenly your blasters or missiles stop working. They keep getting better, like a game that gets harder every minute. The shields on a Borg cube are significantly more powerful than anything the Empire has. Still, even the Borg have weak spots. They need a moment to figure out how to defend against new weapons. So, if someone attacks them fast and hard enough, they can be hurt before they adapt. But that window is tiny, and if you miss it, the Borg will just bounce back, stronger than before. Now that we've seen how scary both sides are, let's imagine what happens when they meet. What would a fight between the Galactic Empire and the Borg look like? It's a crazy thought, right? On one side, you have the Empire with their giant star destroyers and the Death Star. On the other, the Borg with their unstoppable cubes. Both sides have massive ships that can destroy entire fleets. It's like watching two giants throw punches at each other. The Empire's Star Destroyers are like flying fortresses. They have heavy cannons, thousands of TIE fighters, and shields that can take a beating. If the Empire launches a full attack, they can destroy almost anything in their way. And then there's the Death Star. If the Empire gets a clear shot, they could destroy a Borg cube, or even the Borg's main base, called Unimatrix 1, in one blast. But here's the catch. The Borg cubes are not like normal ships. They don't just sit there and take the hit. They repair themselves. They learn what's hitting them and change their shields to block the next attack. So even if the Empire sends everything they've got, the Borg might survive and come back stronger. The tech difference between the two is wild. The Empire relies on heavy firepower, big ships, and of course, the Force. Palpatine and Vader can use the dark side to crush enemies, choke them from across the room, or even see into the future. That's a weapon the Borg have never faced before. But the Borg don't need fancy super weapons. Their strength is in how they grow. Every time they fight, they learn. They can assimilate Imperial technology, even the ships and maybe even some of the people. Imagine if the Borg got their hands on a Star Destroyer or learned how to use the Force. That's a scary thought. Imagine a Borg army equipped with lightsaber technology from assimilated Sith. Yikes. And the Borg don't stop. They keep coming. They don't care how many they lose because every new drone, every new piece of technology they get makes them stronger. They're like a wave that never stops crashing down. Leadership is another place where these two are completely different. Emperor Palpatine is the classic evil mastermind. He's sneaky, manipulative, and always pulling the strings from the shadows. He rules through fear. If someone steps out of line, he uses the dark side to deal with them. Then there's the Borg Queen. She's not exactly like Palpatine. She's not sneaky or manipulative. Instead, she's like the brain of the Borg. She speaks for the entire collective, every drone, every ship. She controls them all. Her only goal is assimilation. She doesn't care about ruling or politics. She just wants everything to be part of the Borg. Now the big question, who wins? It's tough. If the Empire attacks fast, they might win. Imagine the Death Star firing on the Borg homeworld, or Palpatine using the Force to destroy Borg drones before they even know what's happening. If the Empire throws everything they have right at the start, they could crush the Borg before they get the chance to adapt. But, and this is a big but, if the battle drags on, the Borg have the advantage. The longer the fight, the more the Borg learn. They'll figure out how to block the Empire's attacks. They might even start turning stormtroopers and Imperial officers into Borg. Imagine Vader facing off against his own men, now turned into Borg drones. Even worse, what if the Borg figured out how to use the Force? If they managed to assimilate someone sensitive to the Force, like a Sith or a Jedi, they could become even more unstoppable. That would be a nightmare for the Empire. So it really comes down to time. A short, brutal fight favors the Empire. They've got the weapons, the power, and the dark side on their side. But the longer the fight lasts, the more the Borg turn the tide. They adapt, they grow, and eventually, they become impossible to stop. It's a wild matchup, isn't it? Brute force and firepower against relentless adaptation and growth. No matter who wins, one thing's for sure, this would be a battle for the ages. A fight no one would ever forget. So, what do you think? Could the Empire crush the Borg in one mighty blow? Or would the Borg's endless hunger turn the Empire into just another part of the collective? This war may only exist in theory, but the debate is far from over. Comment below on who you think would win and we'll chime in. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more epic showdowns. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the universe of possibilities.